is that everybody talks about Joe Biden now as if he was somehow the choice of the Democratic Party. We lost Iowa, we lost New Hampshire, we came in second in Nevada. David Plouffe and David Axelrod went on TV. They said that there's no way Joe Biden can get the nomination, not a chance in the world. Mike Bloomberg is going to crush him in California. Elizabeth Warren's going to beat him in Massachusetts. There's going to get wiped out in Texas. He doesn't have the money to run. A lot of rural voters said, we love Joe. A lot of urban voters said, we love Joe. And they voted for him overwhelmingly. And over again, David Axelrod would go on and say, you know, the thing about the president is that he is just a man who time has passed by, and he doesn't understand Congress. We passed bipartisan legislation more than any presidents in Lyndon B. Johnson, and who had a supermajority in both the House and the Senate, with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. And who did that? That didn't happen by magic. That didn't happen in the Obama administration. That happened because Joe Biden got on the phone with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer and the rest of the party and Republicans in the party, and he passed a bill because Mitch McConnell didn't stand in the way like he did to every other president other than Joe Biden. And he got it done. He did it. And I'll tell you what, I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, in the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times.
Yeah.
He's 81 years old. He's tired as They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights. And it feeds into every story that anybody wants to tell. And Jake Tapper, with literally how many anonymous sources. If this was a conspiracy, Andrew, you know this, somehow the entirety of a White House in which you literally living on top of each other has kept their mouth shut about, you know, like what? And what's a conspiracy?
Yeah.
That Joe Biden got old? Yeah, he got old. He got old before our eyes. The entirety of the progressive side of the Democratic Party said Joe Biden has got more of our agenda accomplished in 4 years than any president in history. Here's what he said. He said that the president needed to be introduced to him at a fundraiser that he was ostensibly the host of. There was this gigantic fundraiser in which George Clooney wasn't really the host. He was the entertainment, I guess. You know what I mean? If you're with the president at any given time, have you been like at a rope line for the president or anything like that? Anyway, what happens is that you go to people come to take pictures, and usually before or after an event, the president will line up. People will come and they'll take a picture with him and they'll say hello. And there's a person that stands next to the president, and they say, "Mr. President, George Clooney and Julia Roberts." Hey, George, Julia, how you doing? Mr. President, Andrew Callahan. And you may have been filming him all day, and he may know George for the last 30 years, and he may have met him 15 times. But the guy on his shoulder, who's usually a military officer, has one job, to say the name of the person that's walking up. That's it. And George Clooney is now, to rationalize why he attempted to cut the knees out from a sitting president, the most successful president in the history of his party in his life in terms of the legislative policies that he wanted to see passed, had to justify somehow him going above and beyond to write an op-ed in the New York Times to try to force the sitting president of the United States out of the race. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president at a time in which, by the way, what do people care about the most? Why do you think that the Republicans have an advantage over us? Because they're unified. They will go along with anything. I wasn't asking anybody to go along with anything. I was asking people to go along with this. The most successful administration in my lifetime.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。 用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。